Okay, let's take a look at our magazine right now. This is the one that we need. The name of this issue, or the title of this issue in yellow print over here, it says, Out of This World. Then it says, Karen Nyberg is an astronaut. Read inside to find out what she does in space. Then the very small print in the corner at the bottom on the left, that caption says, Astronaut Karen Nyberg floats inside the International Space Station. Have you heard of the International Space Station? There's 3 important concepts or ideas in its name. International Space Station. And of course, we know international means people from different parts of the world. Space, we know where it is located. And station tells us it's a meeting place and a workplace. Okay, as I did yesterday, a little bit of a change to help us just with some timing. I'm going to read through it, and then you can either pause, to underline, do punctuation and labeling lines, or you can just do that after I finish reading and after the video is completed, and then you can do that at home. Oh yeah, one of these days I gotta talk about how I'm speaking. I'll tell you later. Oh, again, really, have you noticed these magazines really do it beautiful? The graphic designer who places the photos in a certain place and puts the text boxes in a certain place also makes a design pattern at the top that's connected to the theme or the idea. Remember the leaves that we saw before and the Jane Goodall ones and the pattern ones we saw last week? This week there's some nighttime sky images. We can see stars up in the sky at the very top. Okay, I'm going to fold this in half this way so I can read that if you're ready. Dark blue print. The sky's the limit. That's a good eye-catching and attention-catching description for what we're going to read about. Astronaut Karen Nyberg spent 6 months living and working on the International Space Station. This is what she did on her mission. So 6 months. That would be the same as if she began her time on the space station, the International Space Station, when we started kindergarten this year. And then she stayed in space in the International Space Station until just about now, the end of March. That would be 6 months. It's a long time to be away from her family and friends and to be up in space. Okay, the blue framed box with the blue perimeter and the blue text says, she worked. Nyberg's main job was to do science experiments. Here, she is setting up a microscope. And if you look at the picture carefully, you can see she's wearing gloves to protect her hands and the very expensive equipment. And if you look at the base or the bottom of the microscope, you can see it is bolted and secured to the table. Because she's in space, gravity is different and things would float. And then look at her hair. It's just kind of floating up. I see kindergarten words in there and punctuation and several labeling line ideas. In the red frame box, it says, she floated. There is no gravity in space. All objects float, even food. Yeah, really, look at front, right in the foreground. Remember, that means close to the viewer. There's a pear just floating in space. Imagine in the cafeteria, if your food was floating all in front of you. Grab that sandwich. How about that strawberry? That would make for a very interesting cafeteria lunchtime experience. And you'd be floating too. Would the tables be floating? I guess. Unless they were bolted down. Okay. The green is perimetered around two images. It says, she quilted. Quilted. Nyberg loves to quilt and sew. She brought her needles and thread with her. She made this stuffed dinosaur for her 4-year-old son, Jack. Wow. She did that well. That dinosaur stuffy looks good. So when was she finding time to quilt and sew? Oh, I guess she's not working every single minute of the day, right? When she's up there, she has to sleep, she has to eat, she has to work, but then she must have some what's called downtime. She's not working. Oh, if you look at the background of that photo, you can see quilts in the background and parts of quilt. Imagine having something that was made in space. Wow. Lucky son, Jack, to have that. Now I'm looking at the purple perimeter photograph. Non-fiction text, of course. And a purple text box. Non-fiction text feature. It says, she explored. Oh, whoa. Nyberg wore a space suit. Oh, I bet I know what it's going to say next. Right? Does she need that space suit in the capsule or the station? She wore her spacesuit on spacewalks. Oh, that would be incredible to do. The spacesuit kept her warm and protected. Huh. I never thought about them being cold. I always thought the spacesuit was to kind of just protect them and have the helmet to give them oxygen. I never thought about the fact that it has to keep them warm. Cool photo. She's floating towards us. The bottom in the orange perimeter box, it's the did you know or the extra thing. Isn't that curious, George? It says here, yeah. George loves to exercise. Astronauts in space exercise 2 hours a day. That's very healthy. 2 hours a day to stay strong and healthy. What kind of exercise do you like to do? It shows her running on a treadmill in this photograph. Okay, if you haven't done your work with finding kindergarten words, finding purple punctuation, and using black for a labeling line, please do that now. And if you see some first grade words that you know, you can certainly use your orange marker to do that. On the back is another fun page to do. It's called Up in Space. It has Curious George and a task to do. Someone can read that to you, and then you can take the time to do that carefully. Thanks.